cat. Now you're messing me up for real. Hey, friends, welcome to the Guitar Show. Hey, guess what? Yeah, you're here. I'm here. We're doing this. This is day 25 of the 30-day guitar challenge, and Choopy is joining us, and she's so excited. I left the gate open because her fat little tush can't jump over the baby gate. So, welcome, friends. I'm so glad that you're here. We're going to have a blast today. It's Saturday, I think. I don't know. Pretty sure. It feels like Groundhog's Day. We're going to have a blast today. Here it is, what we're going to talk about. Yesterday, we talked about our why. Why is it that we want to play guitar? Is it that we want to play studio guitar, be a campfire guitar player? Do we want to play just by ourselves? Are we passionate about playing in front of other people? Are you like my wife, where you just want to write songs and you don't want anybody to, you don't want to be on stage, where you don't want the limelight? What is it? Everybody has a different why. Maybe not exactly different or totally different, but everybody has their own unique why. And we have to answer that question before we know how to practice. So people say, what's the best practice? Well, that's like saying, what's the best girl? What's the best guy for you? Well, that's more defined, right? What's the best for you? That's like saying, what's the best guy? What's the best guitar? What's the best guitarist? None of these exist, by the way. It's what do you like best? So we got to answer that why. And that's really easy to do if you take a moment and you say, why do I want to play guitar? Well, it's fun. That's a good enough why. It doesn't need to be any bigger than that. It can be. Some people will be like, well, I really want to be known as one of the best live guitar players ever. Or I want to be known as one of the best session guitar players ever. Or I just love blues. That's all I want to play is blues. Or only thing I want to play is jazz. Whatever it is, whatever your why is, that's going to lead us to our practices, like how we should practice, what we should be practicing. If we don't answer that question, then we've got a million things to practice, and it's not going to get us to our goal as quickly as if we said, well, here's our direct path to there, right? The old straightest line, or the shortest distance from A to B is a straight line, right? That idea, okay? So that's what we're going to be doing in the first hour here. And really, this is more me answering your questions. So this is going to be really interactive, okay? Super interactive today, because really, I just explained to you, we answered the question. Now we're going to talk about how to practice, okay? Maybe I'll give you a few examples, but we're going to get into some questions right away. For the second part of the hour, we're going to be talking about scalular practice. And then after scalular practice, we'll talk about that for a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes or so. And about the 12:15 mark, I'm going to bring my wife in. We still don't have a babysitter. Obviously, we're still at home here. So our little guy, we may have to get up. One of us might have to get up and make sure that he's doing good and all the rest, right? We're listening to him in the background here. But if we want her to be here today, that's what we're going to have to do, okay? So we'll get into questions there. So if you have songwriting questions and all that good stuff, we're going to dig in, and I'm going to get you your questions answered, or Melissa will, okay? Very quickly, let me thank Rob for his super kind donation here. Why? Boy, come on, YouTube, you're killing me here. Okay, Rob, why? Eric and his crew rock. Let's all step it up today and double our donations to $2 per person. Let's keep their lights on and show our appreciation. Thank you so much, Rob. Super kind. I really appreciate that. I'm restarting my computer here because for whatever reason, chat doesn't work very well on that computer, so I'm restarting. Okay, so let's do this. Let's jump into some questions, or let me describe it to you real quick. We answered our why, but just let me give you some examples which might help you. Who is it that you listen to? Who is it that you find yourself listening to a lot? If you listen to a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan and a lot of Eric Clapton and a lot of blues guitar players, the Kings, the Three Kings, right? You might want to be a blues guitar player, so you're going to lean towards that. So that's a style that you're going to want to do. And so if that's a style that you want to invest in, then you're going to learn things like blues scales and how to phrase in the blues scale. You're going to want to learn the 12-bar blues. You're going to want to listen to blues guitar players. You're going to want to learn what makes 12-bar blues chord progression. You're going to want to learn seventh chords. You're going to want to learn blues phrasing by following your favorites, okay? If you love the sound of a classical guitar, you're probably not going to sit with the guitar on this thigh, but you're going to sit with it on this thigh, and they hold the guitar up like this, right? This is the classical stance. You're going to want to learn how to read music. You're going to want to listen to Bach and Beethoven and Mozart and Vivaldi and Stravinsky and Tchaikovsky and all, okay? So whatever it is that you want to do, you want to grow in that area, so you need to be listening to the right people, you need to be practicing the right way. So that gives you some examples. If you want to be a campfire guitar player, then knowing the 9 essential chords and being really handy with your capo and knowing the lyrics to the song, unlike me when I would teach my guitar lessons and still do sometimes, I'm not focusing on the lyrics. That's not my job. My job is to teach you the guitar. So we get folks on there that are like, you don't know the lyrics, that's terrible. Well, I'm not teaching the lyrics, I'm teaching the guitar, you weasel. So, makes sense? So, but if you're gonna lead people around a campfire, then you're probably gonna wanna know the lyrics, because if I'm standing around the campfire, I probably won't pick up the guitar, because I just don't like to lead people like that, And at least in playing guitar or playing songs, I don't do that. So I would probably be one of the ones listening to you playing and singing along. And I probably don't know the lyrics either, so I'm going to need you to guide me a little bit. But I'll sing along if you can guide me, right? Or maybe, you want to do worship guitar in church. Maybe you really like to lead people in worship. So that would be good to understand and follow other guitar players who are well versed in that, and they talk about tone and they talk about all that stuff. Okay, make sense? All right, so now that you have some examples and to why it is that we've got to answer that why and some basic paradigms there, let's talk about you. Larry, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. Super kind. So let's talk about you specifically. If you have some issues, now most of you know what it is that you should be doing. You lean in the direction of whatever it is that you want to get better at. But some of you don't know. Here Ken's saying, I want to do what Yngwie Malmsteen did, but I want to combine Mozart classical with Stevie Ray Vaughan blues. Great. So Yngwie Malmsteen is a great guy to listen to because he's got lots of blues in his playing, believe it or not. And if you listen to him just like going off on some blues, that guy can play blues really well. I especially like it when he doesn't mix the neoclassical stuff with it, because I love his neoclassical stuff. It's like one of my favorite. In fact, he's one of my favorite guitar players ever because of his execution, because of his phrasing, because of how clean he plays. He's a remarkable showman. Ego aside, I think his ego is partially what makes him so good. I just don't like the guy so much off stage. He seems kind of like an egomaniac, but a remarkable player. And if I want to go see someone play, I don't want them to be shying in the corner. I do that. I don't want to see that. I want to see someone ravaging the guitar. I want to be like, oh my gosh, there's steam coming off that guitar neck. That's amazing, So Yngwie Malmsteen is a great guy. So Ken, if you want to sound like Yngwie and you want to combine, obviously Yngwie listened to lots of Vivaldi and who's the other guy he listened to? Vivaldi and God, why can't I think of the name? Anyhow, he listened to certain players, violin and what have you, and that's how he got his sound. So if you want to sound like Malmsteen, Mozart, Stevie Ray Vaughan, listen to those guys a lot. Not only do you want to listen to them, you want to cop their licks. So you want to take go straight to the lick that you want to master, or the ones that move you the most, and learn those licks. You're going to find Paganini. Thank you so much, Ben. Paganini. You want to know the specifics. You want to know why is it that it sounds like that. Yngwie Malmsteen is a big fan of pedals, right? And it's hard with this cat here, but the idea of like come on, cat, you're killing me. Right? So learning pedals would be a great way for you to go, oh man, I know that sound. Ingve uses that all the time. Now I know what he's doing. You got to learn the licks though, right? If Jimmy Fallon wasn't so good at impersonations, he wouldn't have the job that he has. But he listened to people and he mimicked them and he watched what they did and he watched their mannerisms and then he copied their voice. And that's how he got to do what he's doing so well, right? D Buster 44, $10 donation. Thank you so much, friends. Super kind. Okay. I was reading last night about the importance of live, of watching folks play live. Indeed, it's super important. You get so inspired by watching live performances. You're so welcome, Larry. I look like a Bond villain with the cat on my lap. You will learn how to play guitar. It'll happen. Okay, that's weird. Okay, so yeah, let's get to some questions here. Touch all the bases and focus on one area. Session. Either, both. Massively broad stroke there, David. You're going to have to be a little bit more detailed than that. Touch all the bases? You want to touch all the bases of guitar? I think the second part makes more sense. That's the only part that makes sense to me. Focus on one area. That makes more sense to me. You're going to have to get more specific on that question because even the question is very, very broad. Touch all bases? No. No. You got to focus. Too big of a bite. Steven is saying, Eric and crew, thank you for all you do. Wow, $100 donation. Steven, thank you. Dear Lord in heaven above. Thank you so much, Steven. Blessings, man. Eric and crew, thank you for allowing us to interact with you. Great 30 days, well spent in these troubled times. God bless you all. Wow, thank you, Stephen. It's unbelievably kind and generous. Thank you so much for your gratitude. It's infectious in a good way, right? Thank you. And RDB, thank you for helping our veterans. You're so welcome. Thank you for helping us, my friend. Yeah, exactly. Watch Paganini's Caprices, mind-numbing exercises. They really are. I also want to play songs, artists that I heard when growing up. John Denver, Dolly Parton, Doris Day, Seekers. So which is the best membership? UGS will be the best. Tanya, UGS Pro is the one that is going to be best for you. I forgot to mention this at the top of the program, so we'll talk about it here in just a second. But UGS Pro is going to be the best one for you. Start with UGS Standard. It'll get your feet wet and everything. But if you're ready to jump in, then we've got specials for you today. Just that's the second link below. Friends, speaking of which, I didn't mention it at the top of the program. I should have. I apologize. If you haven't already, please thumb this video up. If you have already, don't do it again. It'll just make the other one go away. So go ahead and like this video. Share it out to the interwebs, if you would, as I'm chit-chatting here. And hit subscribe and that notification bell so you can be notified of further great videos that we're doing, okay? Thank you so much. First link below is going to give you access to the PDF as we're walking through the 30-day guitar challenge. And the second link below is going to give you access to the Unstoppable Guitar System. We even have the first 30-something lessons for free for you inside there. Just search for YourGuitarSage, Unstoppable Guitar System Standard, and that will give you the first 30-something or another lessons, the most important lessons I've ever done, and the ones that'll build a solid foundation for you. That'll be available for you today. Second link below. Make sure you go through that, okay? And it will massively help your foundation and help with everything else that you're going to be doing going forward on guitar, okay? All right, good. If I like slash playing, what should I focus on? You could almost take all of these questions and just take off the question mark. If I like and add whatever it is you're interested to the end again. If you like slash playing, you should focus on slash. No joke. That's what you should do. You should be listening. At the very minimum, you should be listening to his songs. Just like a child listens to his mom and dad and they start mimicking them. My kid walks around the house and mimics noises if he hears a cat or a bird or something on TV. So he's probably going to be a musician or an impersonator or somebody like that. He mimics all of these noises. So you don't need to have a music degree or something like that to do that. You just simply mimic. So listening to your favorite artist is the first thing you want to do. If you want to take it another round deeper, you need to learn some of their songs. Start with the ones that move you the most. Don't go down deep diving into the album if you don't like those tunes, if you don't like those licks or those solos. Go with the ones that move you the most. That's going to keep you playing, okay? What does a studio player do? Raquel, a studio player plays the songs that you hear on the radio, the songs that you hear from your favorite artist and what have you, especially popular artists that are just that go by like a single name, like Keith Urban or Carrie Underwood or what have you. They have studio players do that. Sometimes they'll use their own band, but most of the time they use studio players because those players are so used to being in the studio and so quick and so good at what they do. It's a different set of skills than, say, someone who's playing on the road a lot. It's not a completely different set of skills, but the guy who's playing on the road is not in the studio all the time. The guy who's in the studio is not on the road all the time. The guy who's teaching is not in the studio all the time. The guy who's teaching's not on the road all the time. The guy who's trying to be the best guitar player in the world is not going to be teaching because it just takes time. So wherever your focus goes, that's what grows. You know, if you focus on becoming a studio player, you're going to be better at studio player. If you focus on live, you're going to be better at live. If you focus on teaching, you're going to be better at teaching. That's why I've poured myself into teaching and I put my focus into teaching. And it's why I'm not going to be the best session player in the world, at least where I'm at right now. Now, if I dropped the lessons and I didn't show up for live anymore, and I stopped writing the books, and I stopped creating the courses, and I stopped doing all that stuff, then you guys would be sad, but then I could focus on being a studio guitar player, but I don't have that desire anymore. I really, truly love teaching people. So find out what your focus is, get in that lane, and give it all the gas you got, okay? Okay. Eric, am I losing weight? Well, I'm definitely working out more. I'm definitely working out lately. I've been working out more during this time here. I've had the ability to. So yeah, I'm doing that. So I might be losing a little bit of weight. We just had another donation coming here from Vincent. Thanks, Eric. You rock. I want to play well enough to form a band as a rhythm guitarist with friends and eventually learn to do lead solo sick licks. Okay, good. Vincent, so what you want to do, listen, take what it is that you want to do and then start doing that, okay? For instance, I want to play well enough to form a band. Well, number one, if you haven't gotten together with one musician, then you need to do that first before you get together with 4 musicians. Get familiar with this today. Do it today, okay? Wow, another donation, $100 just came in from David Jackson. David, thank you. Wow, unbelievably generous the last few days here, especially. Unbelievable. David, thank you so much. Not even a question from David, just like, here's $100. Blessings, David. That is so kind. Man, unbelievable. Wow. So, whatever it is that you want to do, lean into that. So if you want to play with musicians, with other musicians, then start doing that. It's going to feel uncomfortable. Anything new feels a little bit uncomfortable, but this is the desire of your heart. So you want to do it, right? So that's outside your comfort zone. So get into that. And wanting to play rhythm guitar, okay? He doesn't want to make it cry or sing like the Sultans of Swing, right? So great. So be that rhythm guitar player. You don't have to wait to play the solos and leads. Get in there with a band. Start playing that rhythm guitar. Have fun doing that. And then maybe there's one song where you play a lead, and that's the only thing you need to focus on as far as lead playing. But you're dipping your foot in the water, and you're like, hey, I've done that before. If I've done it with one song, I could do it with 100 songs. And you would be right in saying that, okay? All right, good. Okay, so can you guide about notes on the fretboard? Maths is saying. Maths, I've never seen you in the chat before, so number one, welcome. And number two, yes, I can guide you with that. I won't do it right now because I've been doing it for all month long, and I've got a free course for you, Maths, that guides you about the notes on the fretboard. Link 2 below this video, click on that. You can do it right now. open up another tab and go to, you're going to see Unstoppable Guitar System Standard. I think it's in the upper left-hand corner. I'm giving that to you for free today, and it will show you that and other things to really build your foundation. It's just the most necessary stuff that you need to play guitar, and it takes out any of the stuff that is not first on the list, right? First things first, you've heard that before. Always do first things first. There are things that everybody should learn in any particular subject before they learn the other stuff. That's what this course is all about, and I'm giving it to you for free today, okay? Will my hands eventually stop fighting each other and finally sync up? Authentically MG. Indeed they will. This only comes through practice. There's no other way. I wish I could tell you to go watch a program or watch one of my videos and then it's done, or eat a pill or something like that and then it's done. But think about it. If it were that easy, then everybody would have it and it wouldn't be special and you wouldn't be seeking it like you're seeking it, Authentically MG. The reason you're seeking it is because not everybody can do it. It's a rare commodity. Just like gold. The reason that gold is so expensive is because it's rare. If you could just go out in the backyard and dig an inch under the ground and find it, then it would be plentiful and it wouldn't be rare, and then the price wouldn't be high. So in the same way, the reason that you desire this so much is because it's a rare thing. So the cool thing about it is for those of us that have the attention, that have the desire, that have the drive, and the hope and the knowledge that they can attain this, they're going to go after it. You see them on YouTube all the time, RJ, Corey, whoever it is that you think is a great guitar player, they're thinking the same way. They know they can go after it. The only difference between them and you is that they decided to go do it, you know what I mean? Or maybe you are the same. Maybe you know this already. But to go after it with that tenacity, right? But yes, they indeed will sync up. It's just a matter of practice, okay? It is helpful to know what to practice. Like I said, you don't need a guitar player, a guitar teacher, I should say, but a good guitar teacher or coach in anything will help your process a ton, okay? This is Choopy, by the way. Sam is asking. Mike, thank you so much for the donation. So kind. Says #1 fan. Thank you so much, Mike. Unbelievable. So kind with these donations. Can you show me how the movable diatonic octaves can help? Can you show me how the movable diatonic octaves can help? Gene, I don't know what you mean by movable do you mean, the movable diatonic, you mean like doing this, right? Like, well, the reason that we did them diatonically or via the major scale is just because why not? The major scale is king, and it is literally that which constructs 99% of all the music that we listen to, so why not do it that way? But really, the whole point of it being diatonic is just like, why not further involve that scale? Because it's replete in everything that we do in regards to music, okay? And but in regards to the more the emphasis is octaves. So this is something that I teach in my courses and online and on the videos on YouTube and what have you. It's more the idea of octaves. And what are octaves good at? Good for? Well, they're great at all sorts of stuff, like right? So we use them. We use them in rock music. We use them in all sorts. And so it just produces a different sound. It's also helpful for navigating the neck. It's what I call one of my movable springboards. So what I mean by that is you can know the open strings. You can know that the 12th fret replicate the open strings. You can know that the 5th and 4th fret are what we use to tune the guitar. That's another springboard. If we go 12 up from that to the 17th and 16th frets, then we know that is also a way of replicating what was happening at the 5th and 4th frets. And so these are called springboards. And then, of course, our movable forms of, say, like the octaves are another way that the pros navigate the neck. So that's why that is so helpful, Gene. Okay, great. Someone asked, this is Choopy, by the way. Chupacabra, Choopy, short for Chupacabra, which means goat sucker. because there is a mythical, although I don't think it's mythical now. I think they've actually found a couple of these that maybe got hit by a car or something. So a creature that is down Mexico Way, Texas area, and it's like this kangaroo dog type of creature. I think they've actually found one of these. It was like a Bigfoot for a while, but I think they've actually found one. Unless those are fabricated, I just don't know. Chupacabra. Yeah, Chupacabra is real, somebody said. My niece, yeah, I think it is. I think they've actually found several of these. People were talking about seeing them, and it was like a folklore for some time because they hadn't actually found one, but I believe they found one now. Okay. Gene's saying, it's my least favorite practice. I want to turn that around. I'm on week 6 of 365. I like your attitude, Gene. It's my least favorite practice, but he wants to turn that around. So when we have a weakness, right, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. So if you're playing and you want to play octaves and it's required so that you play some Hendrix or whatever, but you're not very good at it, then it's good to just go, okay, maybe not my favorite, but I need to get good at that, right? It's your Achilles heel. That's okay. Wes Montgomery was the king of octaves, yes. M. Burner, I've yet to see a jackalope. Yeah, there's a place downtown Nashville, a brewery that's called Jackalope, and it's like a little bunny with antlers or something. Gene's saying, I believe in you, Sage. Thank you, buddy. So, Eric, what would you consider the 4 or 5 effects pedals that are a must-have? Thank you. Okay, in order, Randy, this is what I would say. A looper pedal, because a looper pedal, even before an overdrive pedal, well, it depends, again, on what you want to do. So if you're playing in a band and you don't have a way to overdrive your amp, and you're playing rock music or something, then you need a pedal. So again, this is a subjective bit here. It depends on what it is that you want. But in my opinion, a looper pedal is really important because it will allow you to play by yourself, with yourself. I know, joke, joke, joke. But it will allow you to play with yourself in a way that is that's pleasant, okay? You can have a jam track or something like that, and then you can noodle over the top of it, okay? Come on. Keep your minds out of the gutters, you little weirdos. So a looper pedal is great as a first pedal. Then I would say some sort of overdrive pedal, and then maybe some sort of multi-effects processor like the Line 6 M5, or if you have the money for it, their newer model, which I have down in the basement. I can't even think of the name of it off the top of my head. Anyhow, it's their newer version of it's a multi-effects processor. So, looper, overdrive, a delay pedal is really cool. Some sort of modulation pedal or a wah-wah, I would say. That would be my idea of the best ones. Okay, good. Helix, yeah, Helix is a great system, a fantastic system. Emmy, me looking for the missing likes. Thank you, Em. Not the Brian May treble booster. So the Brian May treble booster, I'm not sure what that is, but it's probably very similar to the stuck wah, which is a pedal that myself and Mark Kerr from Kertronics developed. I said, hey, I want this pedal. I want it to be like a wah-wah, but I want it to be a knob where I can just put it wherever I want. So we call it the stuck wah. And that's what it does, is it creates that sound like you're using the wah-wah, like old Brian May did, right? You know the sound. Choopy, can you hold on just a second? Is that okay? Is that okay with you? Can I stick you over here for a second? It's this sound, friends. You've heard it. You love it, right? It goes like this, right? Right, so that's that stuck wah type of sound. So you have a wah wah on, but it's just set in one particular area there. Okay, beautiful. Papa Stash in the house. What? Papa Stash, right down the road, buddy. As soon as all this is done, let's get some Joe again. If you guys don't know Papa Stash, you need to. He's a great dude. He's a great instructor, and he's got a great channel. And his link is right there, or at least you can click on him and go visit his stuff. He has some amazing lessons, Hendrix type stuff, rock, blues, country. Great player and really knows his stuff, and just down to earth dude. So if you like me, you'll probably like Papa. We're kind of like a little bit of the same dude. So welcome, Papa. Good to see you, pal. All right. All right. Someone's saying, is Dunlop Germanium Fuzz Face Mini an overdrive pedal? It is a fuzz pedal, which has a little bit different circuitry, and the tone is different. So, trying to think if I have that sound readily available. I don't have it readily available, but if you watch my I'm sorry, I got hair everywhere now from this cat. If you watch my Smashing Pumpkins video that I did not too long ago, I'm using fuzz all over that thing. I'm not using any overdrive because Mr. Corgan didn't use an overdrive pedal. He used fuzz all over the place. So it has a different sound. It's more of like a 60s type of sound. The hair is real, man. Oh my God. Now I've done it. Yes. So it's a different vibe. All right. So let's talk about, we answered your why, right? We answered the why yesterday. Let's now talk about what is it that you need to practice. Do you have any questions on that? If you don't have questions about that, then that makes me really happy. But if you do have questions about it, that makes me happy too. Everything makes me happy. This cat makes me happy, even its little fuzzy hair everywhere. But if you don't know what you should be practicing, let's answer that why. So tell me what it is that you like. We got to start there, you know. You know what kind of food you like. You don't have to ask me for that, right? So similarly, what is it that you like about music? Well, I like really high energy music. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Well, I don't want to play in front of anybody. I just want to play at home. I just enjoy playing at home. Cool, let's talk. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Okay, and I don't have but about a half hour a day to practice. Okay, that's great. There's no foul on any of this stuff. There's no right way. It's what's right for you. But we got to answer these questions, and it will come by you telling me what it is that you want. Again, this is a question we got to ask a lot in life. What is it that we want? When we were a kid, we knew this, and it gets beaten out of us throughout life sometimes. We got to get back to there, because that's where a lot of happiness comes in. It's like going after what it is that you want in life. We weren't put here to just take it, you know what I mean? Just be like, whatever, that's what we're supposed to do. No, we were meant to be happy and fulfilled, but you got to answer those questions, and then I can guide you to the way you should be practicing, okay? I just want to play a song and people know what I'm playing. Julie, that's a great why. So, you know, the more you can make it sound like that original artist by doing the actual strum, by doing it maybe in that actual key, or making sure that you've got the tempo and the basic strum down and the chordal structure down, then the more you can make it sound like that original artist, then the more people will know exactly what you're playing. Hey, don't ignore me. Have you ever tried the Line 6 Spider V24? I'm not ignoring you, Thomas. Have I ever tried it? Yep. I have. It's okay. It'll do the job. It'll do the trick. It's good for the money. I have a Marshall 50-watt amp. Do the pedals replace some of the built-in features that are already in the amp? So typically on a Marshall 50-watt amp, you're going to have things like basic EQ, you're going to have overdrive, or you're going to be able to make that pedal overdrive, and you might have reverb, okay? The hair is real. You might have reverb. So a good effects pedal is going to bring other things in like delay and modulation, maybe a wah-wah, maybe a looper, but all those other sounds that you're hearing, that you might hear The Edge from U2 use, or another big fan of effects would be Andy Summers from The Police. A lot of reverb, a lot of delay, a lot of chorus, very affected type sound, okay? With regards to practice, when do you think it's best time to practice during the day? Jim, I think most people would agree that your brain is absorbing the most information early in the morning because your mind is fresh and you're in between a couple of vibrational areas. You're, typically when you're waking up out of like a, what is it, alpha, delta, theta. So in your sleep, you're in that low theta state, and you're getting into a delta state. So in delta and even alpha, beta is like when you're walking around. Like right now, I'm in beta state, beta, maybe alpha. And if you're really aggravated, you're in high beta. But anyhow, your brain is in these different states, right? So when you're sleeping, you're in theta state. And so in theta and delta, you are more susceptible to learning, right? You're more susceptible to suggestion. So in the morning, if you're learning, if you're bringing that new information in, it's going to sink in deeper. It's going to sink in stronger, for sure. That would be my suggestion to you. But you may not want to, and that's a big thing too. It's like, what do you want? Again, we're back to that question. What is it that you want? Really important question to answer. I've had amazing nighttime sessions where I'm just going to town. That's when I work best. But I've had morning sessions that were great too, but nighttime sessions, a lot of times when I go down the rabbit hole right before bed, my brain is slowing down, but not in a bad way, but in a way that I'm absorbing more type of thing. William, thank you so much for the donation. Thanks for all you are doing, working on campfire rhythm, and you help me focus. I love theory, love the logic, but don't use too much. William, you probably use a lot more than you think. A lot of people that don't realize that they know theory, they do know theory. If it sounds good, they know theory. They just don't know that they know theory because there are certain chords that work together, and they're going to use certain scales over certain chords and certain scales over certain chord progressions. That's all music theory. It's all how those pieces mix together. So again, I always say Dave Grohl says he doesn't use theory, he doesn't know theory. He does know theory. He doesn't know that he doesn't know theory. And I love Dave Grohl. He's one of the best rock stars ever, but he doesn't understand what he doesn't understand, or he doesn't understand that he does understand certain things, okay? In fact, to a great extent. I mean, his compositions are beautiful. So, MSG Knight, thank you so much for the donation. Eric, my why. I picked up the guitar in Afghanistan. It gave me an hour to get my mind off of everything going on and being away from my family. Now that I'm home, I still keep up my meditation, period. Beautiful. And MSG, you're totally right. Number one, MSG, I know I've seen you a lot on these broadcasts and in the chat. Thank you so much for your service. And I know that you know, I'm sure you're in the program already, but you know, and if other veterans are watching right now, you'll also know that I provide my whole entire series, the Unstoppable Guitar System, for free for veterans and for those in the military. So search YourGuitarSage.com/veterans and I'll give you that whole package, $400 package for free. So I'm sure you know that already. If you don't, then go take advantage of that. And if you are a veteran, YourGuitarSage.com/veterans and follow that path, okay? So beautiful. Yes, it is a meditation because when you're playing guitar, this is something that I always say all the time, that I feel like the guitar saved my life in so many ways growing up because it kept my mind on things when my mind maybe wasn't so healthy or not. I wasn't conditioning it in other meditation type ways. Right now I meditate a ton and I play guitar. But it really, when you're playing guitar, it's hard to think about anything else. It's because you can only focus genuinely on one thing at a time. So that's great. I love that. Beautiful. Do you have a method to stop from playing too hard, strumming and fingering? Walter, that comes through practice, but here's the deal. When you're strumming, you might want to try a thinner pick. And Walter, I know we've talked a lot. I've seen you before a lot, and I'm pretty sure you're in the program. If you're not, obviously the free program is going to help especially with getting those basics of how to use the pick and the posture and the pick rest and all that stuff, which is all going to help with your picking hand pressure, right? As far as the left hand pressure, I have exercise number 1, and it's 24 variations in that course as well, which are also going to help with that. But you can have all of that and still have lots of pressure when you play. So this is what you want to do. Just like anything in life, whatever you focus on, that's where wherever your attention goes, that area grows. So if you want to get good, if you want to get lighter, then you're thinking, I want to play lighter, and you're playing your exercise lighter, then you're building neural paths that will actually make it lighter the next time you play it. But you have to focus on that, okay? You have to say, hey, I want to play lighter. And as you're playing, you're going to experiment. You're going to say, hey, here I am playing this scale, okay? And I'm playing through this scale, and I'm trying to play it as light as possible, okay? As light as possible. When you focus on that, you're building that. You're doing that with your conscious mind. As you do that more, it goes into your subconscious mind, and then you start being able to just do it. I don't believe you, Eric. Sure you do, because you drive the car now without thinking too hard. You could ride a bike without thinking too hard. You can walk without thinking too hard. But when you just started all 3 of those, when you were a toddler and you started walking, you couldn't. You had to focus on walking. When you rode the bike the first time, you had to focus hard on riding the bike, because it was all in your conscious mind, not your subconscious mind. Same thing with driving a car. The first time you drove a car, you had to be very conscious about it. You didn't have the radio blaring and on the phone. Thank God. Thank God for you for not doing that. Thank you. But later on, now you can do that stuff, right? Except now you got the hands-free headset and you're talking, all the rest. Because now that's become part of your subconscious brain. And you can do this with guitar the same way. Everything. This is how we work. Okay? Focusing on growing my pick hand nails. Yeah. So, and remember, with your nail, you don't need it to be too long. Let me show you that, right? So this is my ring finger, and that nail is just barely coming over the top of the finger, right? This one, not even so much. That one just barely over the top of the finger. This one got cut back a little bit, but this one, that one's a little long, but just above the top of the nail, because that's all you need. You just need that last part to hit the string. You don't need to, you're not clawing at the strings. You don't want to do that, okay? Make sense? Is this wrist pain? Okay, thank you, number 1, for all caps and the question mark. Jordan Peterson, hopefully that's the Jordan Peterson that I watched so many of his videos. Probably not, but either way, Jordan Peterson, I'm glad that you're here. In this wrist pain, is this wrist pain ever going to subside? Yes, it is. I have longer arms, and the wrist pain I get trying to be proper form gets to be unbearable after 20-30 minutes. Any suggestions? Yeah, Jordan, forget about proper form. And what I mean by that is this. I've said it before, you don't need a guitar teacher. You can literally just pick up the guitar and start noodling, and you're going to find your way. But a good guitar teacher can help you get to where it is that you want to go faster than not having that. Any good coach, if they really know what they're doing, is going to, you get behind them and they plow away and you get in their wake, and they can bring you where it is you want to go much quicker. That being said, Jordan, when you say proper form, that could mean a million different things to a million different people. So, and I don't know what it is that you mean by proper form. So, proper form is this. You're comfortable. You're having a good time, man. That's why they call it playing guitar. You just, yes, it's good to drop that thumb behind the neck. This has been an ongoing thing throughout the month where I'm acting like I'm Italian. Behind the back of the neck, I said again. Take your thumb, drop it behind the back of the neck, and as opposed to having your thumb over here. Now, that is going to tire the muscles in your hand, because unlike grabbing a shovel where we palm it because we don't want to lose it, we don't really want to do that with a guitar. We want to take our thumb and drop it behind the back of the neck. Dear Lord. Gonna open up an Italian restaurant. Behind the back of the neck. But if that gets tiring, go ahead and bring your thumb over the top of the neck. All of us do it, but at the beginning, for beginner guitar players, they go to try to play their chord. If they go to try to play their chord, then if they drop that thumb, they're going to be able to play the chord better as opposed to grappling the neck like this. So ease up a little bit, go lighter, practice, and conditioning is going to get you there, okay? Some people don't understand this concept. By the way, I got to address this kind donation that just came in, and we're going to continue to talk about this. Brent Boardman. Hey, Brent, what's up, bud? Is the stuck wah pedal available in your kit store? Insert link here. Brent, it's not. If you want that pedal, it's not anything that I've really advertised. It was just more of like a one-off, that it's something that I wanted. But we should make it available to everybody. Of course we should. But I got so many things going on that I forget half these things. So I need to talk to Mark from Kertronics. But you could just search Kertronics, Kertronics. Just search for that on the web. Speak to Mark. Say, Mark, I want one of those stuck wahs that Eric was talking about. And he'll set you up with one. Okay? Real easy to do. Super, super nice, honorable dude, too. Super great guy. Friends, we just went over 608 folks here, so thank you so much. You're welcome, Brent. So let's go back to this really quickly. I mentioned this conditioning bit, right, Jordan, that we're conditioning ourselves. Now, some of you automatically get this. I know that many of you don't, because my mom literally called me the other day and she goes, I know why I don't like working out, because I just saw this video and it said because when you don't work out, your muscles aren't conditioned. But if you condition your muscles, they won't hurt as bad. And I was like, Mom, you're like coming up on 80 and you're just now realizing this? No offense to my mom, she's a brainiac, but here you go. A brainiac cannot realize things like that. Yes, it takes conditioning. So you playing guitar, it takes conditioning. Of course you're going to suck at first. Everybody sucks at first. I did, Papa did, RJ did, Corey did, Jimi Hendrix did, Eddie Van Halen did. We all sucked at first. That's the gauntlet. You got to start at step one. Everybody does. No one gets to skip a step. It's only folklore and myth that makes you think that somebody started at a different place, but it's not true. You could ask any of them. They all started at zero. They all started sucking, and then they practiced, and automatically they started getting better. It's this weird phenomenon that happens when you practice. I'm joking, of course, right? But yes, it's true. Lord Excess. I love the way Lord thinks here, man. We can hit 800 today. Believe it. I'm believing, man. Let's shoot for 700 first, and then we will focus on 800. So here we go. Jedi mind trick. 700. 700. Okay? We can do this. 700. All right. House of the Rising Sun is a great beginner song. Also, Louis, yes, indeed. T. Willems, great encouragement. Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, well, it's just the truth, right? I don't really have the time just to pump people up. I mean, I'll do it a little bit, but honestly, I don't say anything that's not true. So that would be not very smart to do, to lie to people. So I just say what I know is true, and that I 100% know is true. The more you practice, the better of a musician you become. People say, how much should I practice? I say, well, how good do you want to be? If you're fine with mediocrity, then don't practice that much. If suck is your goal, then just pick it up every now and then. You know, just have fun, pick it up every now and then. Just be in that suck area there that most guitar players stay at. Or, if you want to excel and be the best player you can be, don't ask, how much do I have to practice? Ask, how much can I practice? And ask that every day. Can you do better than yesterday, you know? Watch somebody like Zach Wilde. Watch that guy play. That guy practices all the time. Yngwie Malmsteen practices all the time. Many of these people, they don't practice as much as they do just play anymore now, but I call that practice. If you're playing, you're practicing, okay? Joan, I want to play like an effing rock star. I agree, right? We all do, and that's great, and you can. There's nothing stopping you from being the next Hendrix, except for you. No, there's no cap on what it is that you can do. And I know that some people, that thought is foreign to them, but it's absolutely true. You got to get out of your head. got to get back into your heart and realize that the only thing that's keeping you back from greatness in any area of your life is you. You got to find the motivation. You got to find the drive. You can find these things too. There's great videos on YouTube. There's people to listen to, people to get behind. The more people that think this way, get with them. Don't get behind the naysayers. Naysayers will say, oh, the world's coming down. The sky's crashing. Everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. Cool. For you, they will, because that's the way you're thinking. Get behind the people that aren't thinking that way. Turn off everybody else in your feed that doesn't lift you up. I'm not joking. I did this years and years ago. I did it because Dr. Wheel had a challenge, Dr. W-E-I-L, the guy that owns True Food Kitchen, right? He had a challenge, and one of those challenges was, I forgot, maybe 10 things he said to start doing now. One of the things was stop watching the news. And I stopped watching the news that week, and I've never turned back, never watched the news since then. And somehow I'm alive. Yeah, but you're uninformed. Am I the same, all the big media companies are owned by the same 6 companies, and they say the same stuff over and over and over again, and it's, don't get me started on that. I'm perfectly fine not watching the news. If it lifts you up and it's making you whole and you're super happy inside and you're like, I can't get any happier, the more news I watch, the happier I get, then don't let me stop you. Then that is the perfect way for you. It just doesn't work for me. Or for like anybody else that I know. But it probably works for you. What electric guitar would you recommend for an intermediate player? The one you can afford and the one that makes you happy. Watch videos, I think it's 3 and 4, inside the Unstoppable Guitar System. You don't have to know a lot about guitars. You don't. You literally just have to know what speaks to you, what feels good, what can you afford, what sounds good, and that's all subjective. What sounds good to you is going to sound different than what's good to me. That's why we have so many different types of guitars. Thank goodness, right? And thank goodness that we all have different people that that we fall in love with. Otherwise, we'd all be going after the same girl, the same guy, right? All right. Listen to this. If you miss the consistency of practice, you lose the feel of the guitar over time. 100%. I've gone in and out of this as I practice more, I start feeling it more again. Everything's there for me. It's like I don't forget the guitar. I know where things are at because that's intellectual. But actually having your hands conditioned and being good at that sort of thing, that's something that your body forgets, okay? It may remember the scale and what have you, but it's not as if you're practicing all the time. You've got to condition yourself with this. It's just like going to the gym. People go, I've been to the gym before. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I've been to the gym. Really? Oh, you've been to the gym one time, huh? Nothing happened? You're not freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger? No? Odd. Well, Arnold keeps going to the gym even today. So that's why Arnold looks like Arnold and we look like we look, right? So you got to keep doing it, right? You got to keep working out. You got to keep going to the gym. You got to keep doing the meditation, right? Otherwise, it won't continue. Exactly. The one you can afford is subjective, indeed, what Gene says. So like going to the store, if you have $500 to spend, play all the $500 guitars and under. Find the one that speaks to you. That's the one to go with. Don't worry about the brand name. Brand names don't mean much. I've told you the story where there was an auction where I bought 2 Les Pauls, 2 Gibson Les Pauls, and 2 Epiphone Les Pauls in one day. It was an auction. Sam Ash was going out of business. I got a good deal on them. And I immediately sold the Gibson Les Pauls because they played like junk and the Epiphones played great. So there you go. Don't worry about the brand. Don't worry about the price of the guitar unless you can't afford it, right? Yes, Daniel, another bad hair day, indeed. Stephen, Glenn is asking, do you ever make a guitar buying decision based upon the nut size? It seems some guitars have more space between the strings. Your thoughts? Nope, I never even consider it. Never, 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 ever. I have, I don't know, 40 guitars maybe or so. I couldn't even tell you what the nut size is on any of them. Couldn't tell you. My guitar tech will tell you before I could tell you. Heck, I forget the year of some of my guitars. I know this one's a 69, but I know my Strat's a 65. My Tele, I think, is a 67, I'm pretty sure. But I forget because I'm not a guitar, as much of a guitar nerd as some of my other buddies are, which is great. I love that. I love because I could talk to them about it, but it's just not how I'm wired today. Maybe I could rewire myself, but it's not what I desire. I just want to play. That's all I want to do. I want to teach other people how to play. So, and I think of it like this. It's like a Porsche is a Porsche, and a Porsche is a Porsche because of the things that it is. And a BMW is a BMW because of the things it is. So I'm not going to take a Porsche transmission and drop it into a BMW. That's what a BMW is for. That's why it's a BMW. So like a Fender's a Fender and a Gibson's a Gibson, and they do what they do. And I'm going with that. I'm not going to retrofit a Gibson to play like a Strat. That'd be goofy. For me, I don't want to do that. A Gibson's a Gibson. When I play my Gretsch, it's big and chunky, and I love it. I love the sound of those old Filtertron pickups, and, you know, it is what it is. And you may not like it, you know. Ono is saying, when you're still a beginner, would you still say trust your instincts even though you don't think you have a good ear when choosing guitars and the like? Yes, always trust your instincts. Always, always, always trust your instincts. At the same time, I trusted my instincts on the first girl that I married, and that ended up in a divorce and bankruptcy and a lot of money lost and you know, a ton of crazy stuff. I know more information you probably cared to know, but your instincts can be wrong, right? If you're not pointed in the right direction, 100% they can be wrong. But you still got to go on your instincts. What else are you going to go on, right? It's helpful if you go on other people's advice too, but at the end of the day, if you see a gal and you like her, and you see another gal and you don't like her, she's mean and that sort of thing, right? You gonna go with your instincts, or are you gonna go because someone says, no, dude, that mean girl, she is so nice, right? But my second wife, Melissa, is Daniel saying, dream, right? She's my dream girl, and it's true. And I did go on instincts on that one too. But it's a daily thing, right? It's a daily thing. Marriage is a daily thing. You gotta wake up every day and you gotta keep working at it. And so your instincts, there is no right or wrong. So you may buy a guitar today that tomorrow you may not like as much. Don't overthink this, man. Get more guitars. Go get more guitars eventually. But you don't overthink it, bottom line. You hear me reiterate that a lot. Friends, we're up to 631 folks, right? 700. Can you feel it? I can feel it. Ooh, feels good. Feels good already. Yeah, I haven't seen his Telecaster yet. I have a Nashville Tele. I've had a Nashville Tele too, and that's a great guitar because you can get those Strat type sounds out of it too, right? Exactly. Gene's saying have someone play it for you if you want to hear its full potential. So I always say if you know nothing about guitar and you still feel unsure about your instincts, have another guitar player go into the store with you and have them play it and have them give you their opinion. The salesperson may not be as obvious, okay? May not be as obvious because, or I should say not as obvious, they may not be as honest, I should say, than your buddy who's going in with you, okay? They may be totally honest, but I'm just saying, bring your buddy. Thinking of buying a Taylor S5Z sight unseen, would you? I don't like to buy any instrument like that sight unseen. Personally, I just don't like it. I gotta play it. But if it's something that I can send back, you know, if I'm buying from Sweetwater, which I do often, then, and I know I can return it and it comes with great reviews, then maybe I'll buy stuff all day long like that. I mean, what's the worst I'm gonna do? Stick it in the box again and send it back and get my money back, right? Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't overthink this stuff, friends. Get in there. The sooner you can just stop thinking about stuff and move with your instincts, move with your heart, life's gonna move faster and better for you. I inherited a homemade slide from the 40s. What tuning would be best for learning some blues slide? Open D or Open E? Doug, if you're inside the Unstoppable Guitar System, RJ Ronquillo and I created a great course together that you have to see. RJ is an amazing slide guitar player, and he goes over the basics from the very beginning. It's how I learned how to play slide. I'm not the best slide player in the world, but until I watched his course, until I went through the course that we developed together, I mean, I know how to teach a course, but was not the best at slide. But now that I watched his course, now I have a much better idea on how to play slide, and I feel much more confident. Open D, open E are the ones to go to. Yeah, those are the ones to start with. You can also do it in just standard tuning, indeed, okay? Friends, we are past the 12 o'clock mark. Guess what that means? Now we're getting into the intermediate advanced hour, and we're up to 626 folks. So, friends, if you have not already, hit that thumb up. Yeah, do it right now. Come on, let's do it. I'm waiting. See you do it. Yes, thank you so much. Beautiful. You're kind. Blessings. All right? Also, share this video. If you would, share it out to the interwebs. That's where all the love is. I see the numbers popping up already, even the people that are in the course, or that are in the room right now. Beautiful, okay? So, share it as well. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. As you share this video and like it more people will come in, and that will help me to help you more, because the more the video is viewed, that helps everything that we're doing here. Keep the lights on and everything. For those that have been donating, thank you. So kind, so beautiful. You're amazing. Okay, so we said that we're going to talk about some scalular practice for just a few minutes here, and then my wife's going to join us, and we're going to talk about songwriting further, okay? That's when the fun's going to happen. You're going to see my beautiful bride come in here, okay? Melissa Pierce, if you want to do a little Google search on her, P-E-I-R-C-E. P-E-I-R-C-E. She's on over 13 million albums. She's written for the likes of Reba McEntire. Let me look around the room. Garth Brooks, David Nail, Carrie Underwood, Tyler Farr. She had a #1 with Tyler Farr. A guy walks into a bar. She had a #6 with David Nail. Eli Young Band. She had one on the last album, a song by the name of Hurt for Lady Antebellum. So she's legit, man. She's a legit songwriter. I've written 100 songs in my life. She's probably written 2,000, and many of those, lots of songs of hers have been cut by artists and what have you. So anyhow, let's talk about this really quickly, because that's the more important part of the program here. But scalular practice, what can we do here? Well, instead of just playing our scales like this, we can do some fun stuff like skipping notes, like going 1, 3, 2, 4. You know, or we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, that sort of thing, like this. We can do this with 3-note strings, right? Or 3 notes per string. That sort of thing. We could do any of these backwards, by the way, you know. Okay. Many different combinations that we can use here. Oh no, thanks for the donation, my friend. So kind. In fact, I have a whole course inside of UGS based off of this. If we were playing our pentatonic scales, which is 2 notes per string, right? One thing that we can do other than just playing through it is we can do sequences. All these are sequences, by the way. So like, for instance, now, how do you get started with this? Because there's, an infinite amount of possibilities. Probably only a dozen or so that you're going to use, that you could use often, that aren't going to be too wonky, too crazy. But honestly, it's infinite, right? It's an infinite amount of things that we can do here. So what do you want to do? You want to take one scale and you want to think about it. You could write it down, like you could just, like literally on paper, you could be like, okay, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. You could do triplets. You could do 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, right? You could do 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 6, 5, 7. You could, and this is just major, right? You could do any different combination. Obviously, you can do all of these backwards, right? You could do octaves, right? Another great exercise is practice your octaves, like let's try this again. So I'm just playing through the E minor scale there, but I'm playing octaves. So yeah, I could go. All different ways that you could do this. And what does that do? Well, it's like I say, I do lots of stuff with my left hand now to build new neural synapses, right? To build new neural connections, because if you do the same thing all the time, you're going to get stuck in a rut. It's good to change the brain up. It keeps the brain fresh. You're building new elasticity in the brain, etc. So even just as simple as brushing your teeth with your left hand, or in the morning I do that. Clean the cat box with my left hand. Make sure I wash my hands in between brushing my teeth and the cat box, that sort of thing. But I'm doing this to exercise different parts of my brain. And when you do this with the scales, even though it might be tragically slow, or maybe feel like way too slow, all of that is going to help really integrate these scales, as opposed to just playing it one way all the time. As you integrate it more with all these different patterns and what have you, now what that's going to do is that's going to create new and stronger neural paths, which means when you go to grab a scale, you have several different options, and you might not have to think of it nearly as much as if you didn't do that, okay? All right, another donation just came in from BTB. Beautiful. BT, thank you so much. Super kind. I'm going to ask my wife if she will be ready soon. Wife? Yes. Will you be ready soon to come in? I'm ready whenever you are. Oh, beautiful. Okay, excellent. So she's ready, and we're going to she's going to put the little guy, she's going to put the little guy in front of some story bots or something for a few minutes while we're answering questions here, okay? So I'm going to put this guitar up really quickly, and then we're going to get her in here, and we're going to get to those questions via songwriting, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to get your questions ready. Melissa is, she's a country songwriter, but she's also written pop. If you've visited the Magic Kingdom in Disney World in, say, like the last 2 years or so, she has the song that the fireworks display is performed to. It's called Happily Ever After, and for 15, maybe 17 years, the previous one, I think, was called Wishes. That program ran for like 17 years, so we're hoping that this one runs for like 17 years as well. So every time we go to Disney, we check out that show, and it's amazing to watch all these fireworks and watch this entire show surrounded around your song. It's fascinating. Anyhow, she's an amazing songwriter, an amazing musician. She's got a better ear than me. In fact, I tell the story all the time about how I would be sitting with my students, and if it were diatonic chords or whatever, I could always nail them. But then if it were some borrowed chord from another key or something like that, I typically would have a harder time following those, because I just was going by theory a lot of times. My ear a bit as well. And but she would be like, it's a flat 7 chord, or it's a major 2, or it's a major 3, and she'd shout that from the other room as she was making dinner, and I'm like, of course, humiliate me too at the same time. Okay, you got a better ear than me, and you got a bunch of freaking awards all over the show, all over the wall. I get it. You're the smarter one, okay? Here comes my boy. What you want to say here? You want to tell folks something here, buddy?
Hi.
Okay, you're gonna say hi, and then mommy's gonna join, right? You want to
Hi.
say hi to everybody?
I said hi already.
Okay. Okay,
Good
then
job.
you get out of here. I love you. Bye, buddy. Bye, Spider-Man. Mama's gonna join me here, okay, for a few minutes. You be a good boy. All right, and so we're gonna welcome Melissa Pierce to the stage, everybody. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing great.
Good.
It's good to see you again.
I know, it's been a while.
I feel like it's been so long
Oh my gosh.
that
It's Groundhog Day.
it's Groundhog Day.
It's really Groundhog
As it
Day.
is for you guys and your family too, right? You see each other quite a bit. So I know we're going to get to some questions here. What I would like to do during this time, if you're cool with it, is really, friends, if you would, we don't get to have Melissa on the show very often. So we did this once about a month ago, and then I think before that was like maybe another 3 or 4 months earlier. So I really want you to take advantage of her expertise here. So definitely let's get your questions answered, okay? And I know tops of our heads are cut off here. This is, we're doing this on the iPhone because we're at home here. So look at, everybody's so kind here. Beautiful Melissa, welcome Melissa. Aw, so kind.
Tops of head cut off.
I know, that's okay. We're good here. This is actually the view that they're seeing, so it's not too bad.
Okay.
All right, so I want to get to some questions that you guys might have about songwriting, about the business, about all that, and I'm going to go through these and just kind of pull out the best ones, if you will. Okay, so do you play an instrument? What do you play?
I play guitar and I play piano. I grew up on piano, and the way I play guitar is strung up pretty much so it plays like a piano. I don't know how to explain that, but
let's keep talking about that. I'm gonna go ahead and get you.
So the world makes sense to me on piano. Guitar never really made as much sense to me as piano. So my dad, when I was younger, taught me how to string it up so that it pretty much goes like an octave from, like, if this is C, that's C. Everything's going up the neck like the piano would.
Basically,
C,
the guitar is an open C minor.
C sharp.
And if she adds that first finger, it
D.
becomes a major chord. And since 7 or 6 out of the 7 diatonic chords are major and minor, she doesn't ever play the diminished chords, so she can just play all the major minor chords by simply doing that.
So everything's major or minor by putting that finger in front or not.
Good.
I'm the only person I know who plays that way.
Yeah.
Travis Meadows plays in an open C, but I think I'm the only guy that plays in an open C minor.
Open C major, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
and
cool.
he's a lefty, so
Really?
we have that.
He
in
doesn't
common.
play any standard?
I don't think
Huh.
so.
He's a great songwriter as well. So doing this, so even though, right, as a guitar player, she wouldn't call herself an amazing guitar player, but you write some amazing songs,
It's
and
really
she can.
hurtful. No,
You know how it is.
I really play well enough just to write. My passion was always writing songs, and so I kind of have limped along all these years. Just, I play well enough to write, and it gets that across. And when I do writers' nights, I play well enough to get the song across, but I really can't do all the fancy stuff that he can do.
But when you're writing a song, you just need the chords, and she's got a great ear for that, and is able to come up with them very quickly. So we're gonna go through some of here. I'll take that back here. The first question here: do you ever write a song starting with a melody, or is it always chord progressions first, or like how are you starting? How do you write a song?
Do you ever write a song starting with a melody, or is it always chord progressions first? Honestly, for me, the way I think the best is starting with an idea or a hook, as we would call it in the industry. But it's really just like a song title or kind of a way of, an idea of writing the song. And then usually the melody follows, but every day is different. Sometimes I'll have a melody, sometimes a co-writer I'll have a melody, and I'll have an idea, and we kind of just find the thing that inspires us the most that day.
Tony P coming in hard with a donation. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. Still being supported by our parents.
Yeah, only 5 strings because that top string was a duplicate, and so that 6th string went away when we got married because I said, well, that's just causing tuning problems for you. You should just take that off. It's not really making it sound.
So it's kind of like if Keith Richards and Dolly Parton had a baby, because like Dolly used to play all bar chords. And Keith Richards plays without that top string, so it's kind of a marriage of both.
Okay, so okay, that's gonna. How would an amateur like me pitch a song to an artist? So do you want to answer that one?
How would an amateur pitch a song
You
to an
don't
artist?
really, and
Yeah,
let
I
me
mean,
be honest with that one.
I'm gonna say for the most part, because every once in a while something happens, like a Luke Combs who wrote his whole first album with his friends, and then he got a deal, and it kind of, brought a lot of those people along with it that he was writing with, and then they ended up getting deals and things like that. But for the most part, everything is published material, so it's usually artists writing songs with other published songwriters. You just kind of have to be in it. I used to think you could kind of get a song through, but there's so much liability these days with even just sending in song material to labels or to publishing companies that you really just kind of have to get in the middle of the community and start making your way through.
Yeah, and also
as far as pitching a song to an artist.
Yeah, and there's so much competition that, if you could imagine that there are folks that have had 40 number ones in town, are they going to talk to that guy before they talk to someone randomly who they've never spoken to before and possibly waste their time on a song that's not good? And that's just being honest, right? But how do you rise above that, right? Because you didn't come in as a professional.
Mm-mm.
There's zero songwriters who started off as a professional. Can you notice a theme here? Same thing with guitars. Nobody starts off being a great guitar player. No one starts off being a great songwriter. You have to be passionate enough about it to believe in your dream and to give it the energy that it takes to actually manifest it, to make it come true. And unless that happens, then it's just obviously just a dream.
And if you are that serious, there's great organizations like BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, NSAI, you can look all of them up, and they basically are all organizations that support songwriters, and they have great events like where industry executives will listen to songs, or you can submit songs, or there's songwriting contests and things like that, and they can be a great support to new songwriters. They have events where people can meet up that don't have deals, that they can start writing with each other and things like that. So I always feel like that's a great entry point for anybody that's really taking it seriously and wants to be a songwriter in Nashville.
Do you need bridges, or can you do verse and chorus?
My song that I had with Tyler Farr that was a number one song has no bridge. I've had songs that have bridges that don't. I think, kind of the rule for bridges, at least the way I try to follow it, is just if there's a need to say something else, either lyrically or melodically, then add a bridge. If you kind of look at what you've done, verse, chorus, and there's some extra bit of information that needs to be addressed lyrically, then we add a bridge. If it's kind of been the same kind of chord structure the whole song and it needs to just go somewhere else melodically for a breath of fresh air, then we add a bridge. But if not, then there's no need for it. You can just do a solo and go to a last chorus.
That's a good question. Does the way you write a song, does that change when you write when an artist comes to you, or do you write songs for a particular artist in mind?
Both. So I'd say, probably my time is split in thirds. So I probably spend a third of the time writing with artists for their artist project, and I'm just trying to help them get out what they want to say, because I'm primarily lyricist and melody, and so I have no ambition of being an artist. So I really take a lot of joy in writing with artists to try to help them get their vision across. And then sometimes I'm just writing with another writer who's just a strong writer, and we're trying to pitch a song to an artist. But a lot of times when I was writing Disney stuff, it would be very specific and writing for very specific artists for very specific projects. But for the most part, for country, if you're not writing for an artist and you're just writing a song, you're just trying to write a great song for someone. Some people have a lot of luck specifically saying, I'm going to write a song for Tim McGraw today, and trying to get that song to Tim McGraw. But I've always had the most luck just trying to write the best song that I can possibly write, and then just seeing where that fits. But I think keeping some parameters in mind of like what the range of most singers are and what the content of what most artists want to say, keeping all that in mind I think, keeps that song being able to be pitched to a lot more people as opposed to it being a very short list. You write a real negative ballad and there's going to be like maybe 3 or 4 places to a real rangy negative ballad. You're going to have about 3 or 4 places to go. You write a up-tempo drinking summer song and you're probably going to have 60 artists to pitch to because everybody's looking for that radio single. It used to be different when I got into it in like the late 90s, early 2000s. There was a lot more room for a lot more different songs on projects, but as radio kind of consolidated their lists and as, the writing pool kind of got smaller, everyone's shooting for that radio single. So that makes it a certain kind of song that we're shooting for.
Do you meditate?
I do meditate. I don't meditate as much as my husband, and I'm trying to do more of it. But yes, I do, and I probably meditate every day for at least 15 minutes.
Okay. What are you working on now?
What am I working on now? I just started a new deal, and so I'm just working with a...
What does that mean, a new deal?
Oh, I just signed a new publishing deal. So I've been with Disney Music for the past 8 years, and I just signed a new deal with total full circle moment, but my very first publisher, Daryl Franklin and Dan Huff. They just started a new venture with Lance Freed, who's an amazing legend publisher, and I'm still working with Pat Higdon, who I worked with Disney. So it's the start of a new venture with all of them. So I'm working with a lot of artists that Dan's going to be working with, Dan Huff, and
who was with the band Giant in the 80s, and also probably one of the most recorded one of the most recorded session guitar players of all times. He's like the Tim Pierce in the 80s, if you will.
Yeah.
I guess Tim Pierce was Tim Pierce in the 80s too, but he was right along there with those guys.
And I have a handful of artists that I've just been working with for years, and so I'm just writing with them and just shooting for country stuff. And I'll still hopefully get to write for some Disney projects over here and there.
What do you think of the show Songland?
I think it's really cool. I mean, I haven't gotten to dig into it that much, but I just had a dear friend just get Lady Antebellum's single that it did so well on the show that they just took it to radio, and that's the first time that's happened. So I think any outlet that gives another platform for songwriting is a good thing and brings attention to songwriting and stories behind the songs. I think, I mean, I'm sure some people have different opinions of it, but I think it's a good thing. I think anything that brings attention to the format's a good thing.
It's an interesting one. I'm interested to see what you say about this. How to jump out of the box of popular chord progressions.
Man, I'm sure I probably thought about it more earlier on, but I feel like I just am so inside what a commercial song looks like that that I'm just using those 1, 5, 6 minor 4 chords kind of all the time, and then there's kind of other chords that work along with it, the 2 minor, 3 minor, 6 minor, and every once in a while you get to use a real fancy chord, but in country, for the most part, you're staying inside those parameters. Pop, you get to do a little more.
What is the magic formula that separates an average song from a radio hit? That's a hard one.
That is a hard one
because it's gotten weird too.
Yeah, it's like there's so much luck, timing, or connections that have to do with what makes a song a radio single. And man, as long as I've been doing it, I can't find any rhyme or reason to it. It's like I've had singles on songs I never would have thought would be a single, and I've not had success on songs I thought were sure things. I've had songs that, when they recorded it, when an artist recorded it, they said this is going to be the first single, and then it wasn't, and then it wasn't the second single, and it wasn't the third single. There's so many dynamics that come into play, like what the first single did, and how well it did, and how that sets up the next single. There's just so many moving parts that I do think songs that become radio singles, for the most part, have some kind of angle or something that's slightly different on it, or a vibe on it that's something slightly unique. But I'm a little too inside it. I feel like there's so many great songs that don't get to see the light of day that it's not always what has to do with the song that makes it a hit single.
How would you compare your songwriting style versus Wendell Mobley or Jeff Steele, and maybe mention some of the stuff that those guys have written too, so they have a.
Those are two of my absolute favorite songwriters. How would you compare my songwriting style? I mean, I would say probably I'm more. Man, that's not fair because Wendell and Jeff are both great lyricists, but I'd say that they're both so strong melodically that that maybe I'm more of a lyricist. But man, they're just so good, Wendell and Jeff both.
Do you have a particular song that inspired you to become a songwriter?
Yeah, several. I mean, I think back in the day, I think Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, I think, was one of the ones that I listened to that I just thought was a perfect song. And there's a song of Mike Reed's, I Can't Make You Love Me, and I think I'll spend my whole life trying to rewrite that song because it's amazing. A lot of Billy Joel, a lot of Elton John, a lot of Beatles. But yeah, I would say those were the songs that I just had on just repeat, trying to study how they did that. Oh, also, like, there was a song of Reba's. Somebody reminded me of this the other day, The Greatest Man I Never Knew. And I remember that was, like, one of the first country songs I heard besides, like, you know, the old school stuff, like He Stopped Loving Her Today and obvious, like, things like that. But Greatest Man I Never Knew, I heard that and just went, oh, I wonder if I could ever just write a lyric like that.
I love this one. How do you not, oh, James, thanks so much for the donation, my friend.
Thank
Super
you.
kind. Thank you, Betty. How do you not overthink the process? This is a great question. I get stuck being self-critical.
I am of the mindset of just keep writing. I just, you know, I think anything that stops you, like the editing process, from continuing that creative flow, like I kind of believe you should just write and get it out and then edit it and try to make it the best song it can be after, then let the thinking in. But I think the best way not to overthink is just keep doing it, and the songs will just keep getting in better and better. But I think, like, holding yourself up, being like, this song's not perfect yet, is what keeps you from being a better writer. I mean, I think, I've said this before, that I think writing every day for us professionally, it's not every day is a magic song, but I think the whole point of us writing every day is to sharpen our tools so that when the magic is there, the inspiration's there, we have all our tools sharpened and we're ready to write it. So,
did you ever write a song for Eric?
Almost all of them. He's my muse.
What songs have you and Eric done together?
We did a little project called Kirby and the Roaches a few years back, and Eric produced all of it and played on everything. And we wrote a few songs together for that. One of them was called What a Mess. And then we did a few covers, but I don't think...
We just wrote two for that project.
Yeah.
That was just something real small that we did just for kicks and giggles. Kerby.
Yes.
And the Roaches. Someone's asking here about your old buddy, Eric Church. Where was that? Oh, what do you think of Record Year by Eric Church? The double entendres make this song.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about like a unique angle on a hook. Like, that's just a great way to write that, Record Year. Like, there's so many, like you said, the double entendres. It's so good. I love it.
And Eric, Melissa, did you write with Eric, or you just used to be buddies with all those guys? Yeah.
I can't remember anymore.
She's got some great stories.
Yeah, I mean, we hung out quite a bit back in the day, but I can't remember whether we wrote or not. I think we did, but...
Yeah. Okay, Rob, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you for coming and sharing, Melissa. Much gratitude to you and your husband. Thank you, buddy.
Oh,
so
thank
kind,
you so
bud.
much. It's so kind.
Okay, there's a lot of really good ones coming in here. I'm sorry I can't keep up with them all, but is arrangement as important as writing? And then I guess maybe like what part you guys are involved in that?
I always think writing is the most important. I mean, I think you can dress up a song, but I feel like, you know, the song's either there or it's not. I don't think a great arrangement can overcome a bad song, but I think a great arrangement can help a song get recorded for sure. And I think a bad arrangement can hurt a song getting recorded as well, but I think the great songs stand out regardless of arrangement.
Are you ever fully satisfied with a song, or do you feel like they can be better?
Man, I feel like a lot of writers feel like the song could always be better. Every once in a while, I feel like I can't write one any better than that, and I feel like I nailed it and get it. But for the most part, they can always be different and they can always be better. I never mind if like an artist hears something and wants to change it, or I try not to ever get too personally attached to it and try to always keep the flow open of being open to change, because maybe there's something I hadn't thought of that made it even better. So
what makes a song great to you? I know that's a fairly broad stroke, but I know you could answer that.
What makes a song great to me? I mean, to me, I think the perfect marriage of a melody and a lyric and a story and imagery. I mean, I think, I feel like, there's the story of I Can't Make You Love Me, which when it was originally written was written as a tempo, and it was kind of like, I guess, like a bluegrass song. It was kind of like, I can't make you love me if you don't. And one day, Mike Reed sat down on the piano and just was kind of playing around with the song and turned it into a ballad. Turn down the lights, turn down the bed. And I can't even imagine that song not being written like that. It was just the perfect marriage of a melody and lyrics. So sometimes I hear a lyric that's better than the melody, and sometimes I hear a melody better than a lyric. And so to me, when those two things really connect, I feel like it moves you emotionally.
Yeah. Indeed. D-Buster44, thank you so much for the donation. Really kind. And Epic Kitty, thank you. You're the sage teaching the generation of guitars. Thank you, buddy. So kind. You remind me of Sybil Shepherd.
Thank you.
Oh, Sybil Shepherd, yeah.
I was such a big Moonlighting fan.
Oh, she's hot.
Yeah, thank you.
Have you ever had an inspiration lost because you didn't have a recording device?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's been so many ideas that I was, had a melody in mind, and I'm like, oh, I'll remember that. Or even an idea and didn't write it down, and it's gone. And now, especially since I had the baby, if I don't write it down immediately, it's gone forever.
That's a great question. Do you set aside time every day to write?
Before I had the baby, yes, I took time every day before I wrote. But now I just try to take time. I take time on the weekends before my writing week to make sure that I have ideas for my next week, to make sure I center myself, and I try to take in new music, and I try to find some inspiration for the week, and then I try to take about an hour before I write to just get my head around it. But since I had the baby, I watch him several days a week and then write the other days of the week, and I try to keep those things when I'm with my little guy, just having it be him and me time, and I try to keep my writing time writing. So
what do you think of Casey Musgraves?
Love her. She's so good. Yeah. And I love that she is just so unapologetically who she is, and it's like she just does her thing, and whether that means she's on radio or not on radio, or has a hit or doesn't, I think it's what makes her such a unique and awesome artist. Yeah.
Do you keep a notebook of ideas for a hook and review it later?
Yes. And it's funny, I've talked to some people about this lately, that I read this book, Stephen King on Writing, which if you haven't read it, it's awesome, and it's about writing books and stuff, but I found it very helpful to the songwriting process as well. But I always have had an idea book as long as I've been songwriting, and it just keeps growing, and some days I look back on it and I go, what the heck was I thinking? What is I don't even know what some of my terrible titles are, but I look at it and I'm like, what was I thinking? But Stephen King said in that book that there's no one idea, that every idea is two previously unrelated ideas coming together. And so it changed me, throwing out ideas or looking at something and thinking it didn't make sense, because I'm like, something made me write it down, and maybe just the other thing that needs to happen hasn't happened yet. Mm-hmm. And because there's been times I've looked over my title list and I haven't liked an idea, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's how I could write it. And so it was like some other thing happened that made that title make sense. So yes, I keep a book that's miles long.
Great question. How Richard's saying, how are writers compensated? Is it based on the success of the song?
Yes, so writers are compensated in several different ways. So when you're under contract, you're usually paid in advance to write songs professionally. That's kind of works like a salary. But then you make money when your song has success. So, you make a certain royalty from songs being on the radio. You make a different royalty from songs being on an album, like physical album sales. We're now kind of wading through how to get paid for streaming and what that looks like. And then sync, which is songs in movies. That's a negotiated rate. So they're all different rates, and they all pay differently.
Street Bright, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. All the best. Super kind.
Did I say
Thank
performance
you.
radio airplay?
I don't think you did.
Okay, that's the biggest one. When we have a song on the radio, that's the biggest way that we make money is through performance royalties, which is anytime you hear a song playing on the radio in a restaurant, that sort of thing.
Thank you so much, Street Bright. And I know that you sent a song
that's
to
so
me
sweet.
to listen to. And I only got to listen to a part of it the other day as I was going through my email, but I will check that out still. So thank you so much. What positive impacts has becoming a parent had on your writing? That's a good question.
I just feel like
Time.
time
No nonsense.
and I've said that, yeah, for two things. One, it emotionally just opened the floodgates. I feel everything now. Like, I mean, I thought I did before, and I thought I could relate to things before, but like now everyone is somebody's child to me now, and that just gives a whole different depth to what you write or how you write it or how you relate to other people's ideas. So I think that's changed me. But also, I've told Eric this many times that I wish I had the focus that I have now with being a working parent back when I was single or even just married and had all that time on my hands. Just now I have to be so focused that when I'm in the room, I only have so many hours to write, and it's like laser beam focus. And I wish I'd had that. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad I have it now.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore? What a great question. Who's on your Mount
Man.
Rushmore of songwriters? That's a great question.
Wow. Man, for me, okay, so as a female and female writers, I mean, the first name that pops in my head is Matresa Berg, because, I mean, she's become a dear friend of mine, but, like, she wrote every single song that was popular in the 90s. Strawberry Wine, You Can Feel Bad If It Makes You Feel Better, like Wild Angels. I mean, you name it. X's and O's, Trisha Yearwood. I mean, she's just a powerhouse. She wrote You and Tequila a few years ago for Kenny Chesney. But just the songs that she wrote and the way that she handled herself over just years of working kind of in a man's business and having all that success at a time of such great music, especially for women. She's on my Mount Rushmore. I mean, Mike Reed, obviously, Jeff Steele, Dolly Parton, as far as an artist who just like wrote all her own stuff. And then, of course, because I grew up on it, Elton John and Billy Joel are on my Mount Rushmore, and of course the Beatles. I mean, yeah.
It's a big mountain.
It's a big mountain, yeah.
Somebody said share some stories, but maybe specifically, why don't you share a story of, say, like Guy Walks Into a Bar or Red Light? Those are Melissa's the most successful songs. So the one went to number 1, the other one went to number 6. So just share some stories. Unless you want a story that's different than that, you can think about the top of your head. But like, maybe
yeah,
give them a
maybe
little
let me know what kind
anecdote.
of stories you're looking for. Like, I got all kinds of
Ones that
stories.
you could share. But like maybe how that song came to be, or Red Light. Maybe just like a quick version of that. Do you think?
Okay, so Guy Walks Into a Bar, I wrote with Jonathan Singleton and Brad Tersey, and Brad Tersey came in with the idea that day, and he said, don't think I'm crazy, but what if we wrote a song that was like the joke, like a guy walks into a bar, and it took us a few hours to kind of decide whether it should be a funny song or a serious song. We didn't quite know what to do with it. But once we got the angle on it, the song fell out really quickly. And usually our songs are pitched through our song pluggers who are like salesmen for our songs. And this one had just like such an organic way of getting recorded. Usually it gets pitched through that channel. And my co-writer, Jonathan Singleton, was at a writer's night at a bar called, I think he was at Losers or Winners. It was one of those two. And it was a thing they do in Nashville called the Whiskey Jam. And so writers will get up and play songs, and it's a big party. And Tyler Farr happened to walk in and heard Jonathan playing the song live, and he said, I want to record that song, and if you guys let me, I think it was on hold for Blake Shelton at the time, and Blake was considering it, but Tyler said, if you let me cut this song, I'll make it my first single off my new album. So we decided to take a chance on it, and we let Tyler have the song, and he recorded it, and it became my first #1.
Beautiful. Oh man, I just had a really. Larry, this is a great question. Melissa, when was the moment you got discovered? Like when you said, "Wow, my song is going to be recorded."
I have such a great moment in my head. Like I don't know, like if being discovered is the right word, because I feel like I'm still waiting to be discovered.
Sure.
But I mean, I've been doing it for close to 20 years. But the moment when I had like that holy crap moment was. I remember exactly where I was, and I had a radio shower, or a shower radio. It was back when you had those in the shower. And somebody called me, and it was my first song that was being released as a single. It never ended up doing anything. It kind of went in the 50s. It was an artist called Shalee Tennyson. And it was my first single. And it was called Lonesome Road. And somebody told me it was going to be on the radio, and I turned it on, and it was the first time I got to hear my song on the radio, and I cried like a baby, and I called my parents, and I was standing in the shower holding it up to the shower, and that was the moment I was just like, oh my God. I mean, and the rush of that, there's still just nothing like it. Hearing something on the radio is just like, it's like crack.
Oh yeah, Jerry, if crack was good for you.
If crack was good for you.
Jerry and Frank, thank you so much for the kind donations.
Thank you so
and Galaxy
much.
is saying, Eric, Melissa, was Eric really working when Garth Brooks acknowledged and looked at you in his concert?
He really was. He like 100% was looking down at his phone doing this. It was awful. I mean, it wasn't awful. I mean, who knew he was going to look at that moment?
And who knew that he was like a sniper in the crowd?
I still don't know how he saw me, but me and my
so
daddy-o and my mom were all on our feet, rocking out, and Eric was straight up sitting on his phone.
Yeah. It's a good one. So if we wrote a song and we're not with anyone, like a writer's deal, how would we send it to get started? Like, how do you get signed?
I think I kind of covered that before. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I think the first things I would do would be to go to BMI, ASCAP, CSAC. I would go to some of those writer expos. I would try to get to know other writers. I mean, when I moved here, I was just hell-bent on being a songwriter, and so I was like, I'm going to work at the Bluebird. I'm going to hang out at the Tin Roof, and I'm just going to meet other writers and other artists, and I'm just going to break my way into it however I can. And that was literally my mentality with it. I ended up going to college here in Nashville, but I mean, I still was like going to class, and I was interning at companies, and I was going to writers' nights every chance. Like, I went to every writers' night at the Bluebird, the Listening Room, just to meet other writers, to be around other writers. I mean, that's the answer. It's just
be passionate, lean into it. It's like I
Yeah.
say with anything, man. If you want to be a cook, hang around cooks, read
Yeah.
cookbooks, watch cooking videos, take cooking courses. If you want to write, hang around writers, write. Because you have to be in that environment to become part of that environment,
Yeah.
right? You can't dip your foot in the water.
I came here, I mean, I was doing that and trying to I was copywriting my songs back in Pennsylvania, and I was I came to Nashville a few times and met some people, and I mean, they all said the same thing. They're like, it's just near impossible to do this from somewhere else and not have any connections. I think you could live somewhere else once you've been doing it, but like, as far as like the immersion into getting a song recorded, you just kind of have to be part of the community.
What are some of your thoughts on the older music that was really raw and gritty, say Christopherson?
I mean, yeah. I mean, they were so freaking cool. I mean, Christopherson and Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings, and I mean...
That's what we listened to for like 3 days
yeah,
in a row, just
yeah.
in the
and
mornings
we were just
here
like,
with
this
70s
stuff
country.
is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. I felt like there was so much more freedom to just like say crazy stuff. I mean, like, Ruby Don't Take Your Love to Town. I mean, it was about like a dude being in a wheelchair whose woman's cheating on him. Like...
It's hardcore.
Because
real
you can't...
life.
Yeah.
It's real life.
You can't
talk
write that.
about
And
real
nobody's
life
doing
anymore.
that anymore. Now it's like everything's
Well,
great.
I can't say that.
Yeah.
That's real.
Or like Fancy. Reba was singing about being a prostitute or an escort. Like, and it was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
I
it's
miss
real
writing
deal.
that kind of stuff. I wish we could write more honest stuff.
Jason's asking, do you write about personal experiences or do you have a good imagination or both?
Both. That's another thing that was in that Stephen King book. It said, the only way you can write and be honest to write is to write what you know and expand from there. And so, he was saying, he's like, I'm not a woman, but I can, kind of write from the experiences I know and then write that outwardly as a woman, a character or something like that. So I feel like it's the same. And a lot of times you draw on your co-writer's experience. So, I was writing parent songs long before I was a parent and just kind of leaning on my co-writers for that and connecting to being a daughter and what my parents might have been feeling and things like that. And now I have that experience. So, yeah.
Indeed. Why did you choose Nashville to move to? Were you a country music fan already?
I was a country music fan, but it was more about, at the time, about the geographic location, like, and what the cities meant. Like, I knew I wanted to write songs, but I felt like New York City, I grew up near New York City, but I felt like it was too big and overwhelming as far as trying to break into an industry, and LA just never really seemed like where I wanted to be. And when I visited Nashville, I literally stepped off the plane and I felt like I could breathe, and I was like, this is home. And I drove up and down Music Row, and I was like, this is it. Like, I felt like I could just knock on every single door down Music Row, and I was like, somebody will let me in and give me a job. It just felt like home. It felt attainable. It felt like...
and because somebody said to you, you said, I really want to do this, and they said to you, you got to move here.
Yeah,
Like,
yes.
if you, like, are you serious or aren't you serious? Because she's like, I'm really serious. And they're like, cool, move here.
Yeah.
Let's see how serious you are.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it from afar. I mean, technically you could. There are a few people that do it now, but they also made it and then moved away. But, like, you got to be around the people, realistically,
For sure.
This is a great question. This is a fun one. So we'll do a back and forth here. Because we've both been involved in music. I've been teaching since I was in high school. You've been writing since you were in high school. I've been playing guitar and in bands and recording since high school. You've been recording in bands and everything since high school. Dueling pianos and playing bars and everything else. But somebody said, both of you, what jobs before music?
What jobs for
You
me?
go and then I'll go and we'll go back and forth.
I worked in high school as a pasta girl. I made handmade pasta at a restaurant.
And still makes amazing handmade pasta.
Thanks, Andrew.
I did one of my first jobs was I worked at a radio station, a Christian television station. I worked at a Christian television station as a master control operator, so the dude that worked the board and ran the programs and what have you. Go.
And I also worked as an A&R assistant, artist and repertoire, at a record label, Giant Records. And it was my first job out of college. And it was my first full-time job in the music industry. And I was still trying to get a writing deal, but I was working in the music industry, and I was an executive assistant. And it was so stressful. But I worked for like 5 labels under the Warner umbrella, and would have to put together the fanfare shows when they were called fanfare, the CMA Fest shows, and CRS, and coordinate all the artists and their needs and everything. It was crazy.
I worked at Cracker Barrel for a day as a cashier. Go.
I nannied.
Okay, I worked as a carpenter for a day. Go.
I was pretty solid, man. Like I worked at stuff for like a really long time.
It's your turn. You don't have any other jobs. No?
I nannied, I worked at Pasta, I worked at Giant, I interned all through college, I worked full-time and went to school full-time, and then I started writing songs.
I was a real estate agent. I was a loan officer at a bank. I could keep going. I've done a lot of different things. I worked sales for a solutions provider, a computer solutions provider, doing things like fixing spam and email and
For a day?
no, for many years. Okay.
Is there a COVID-19 song in the making? It's so funny. So I have been writing via Zoom with people for the last month. So this has been just like such an interesting experience in adapting. So, we've all just been trying to write. But it's funny, it seems like the more you're in a situation like that, the less you want to write about it. It all just seems so heavy to be like, we're all staying in and it's sad all the time.
Yeah, no one wants to hear
nobody
that.
wants to.
Get
So
the hell out of here.
yeah. So it's been kind of like a lot more fun summertime songs, I think, projecting like hope for the future, writing happy things.
Do lyrics ever come to you during the night, dreams? Mine sometimes do.
They do, and then I'm so tired, I don't get up and write them down. If I did, I'd be like super interested to see. But Eric's always putting something into his phone late at night.
Yeah, she's making, because I have the watch and I'm always like saying stuff at night, so she was making fun of me that it's always something.
It's always something crazy.
Always something crazy, like just like.
He's always like.
Yeah, nah. They're probably not gonna get it. They know I'm crazy, but they don't know how. They don't know how crazy.
But
and I don't know if they're ready for that yet.
Just like something so bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, can cats be taught to mind read?
I never actually said that, but that's not.
But it's
that would
totally
be,
not outside the realm of
yeah.
something that you might say.
Have you had to deal with sexism in the music biz? Ooh.
Yup.
Yup.
I mean, I think it's getting a lot better. It's certainly from when I started. When I started, I don't remember hardly any hit songwriting women who had children. That is literally something that's changed over the last 10 years, and there's been several female writers who were just like, I'm doing this thing, and have had babies and lots of number ones.
You mentioned Gretchen Wilson because you used to.
Gretchen Wilson? Oh yeah.
Gretchen Wilson. Did you write songs with her?
No, I didn't write with her, but
she
was awesome. She had her baby, and she would just show up to a vocal. She would sing. She sang demos.
You gotta tell them like what your relationship was with her. Like why were you working with her?
She used to sing demos before she was an artist, and that was kind of her way of
What's a
making
demo?
money. So a demo is the production that we use to pitch a song. So it kind of sounds like a record, but it's how we, build the song in demonstration form to pitch to an artist. So, but Gretchen used to sing demos, and she would come in with literally a baby on her hip, and she would sing the whole vocal, and her baby would be like a year and a half or like under a year and never made a sound. I mean, it was just, she'd be on the vocal mic singing with a baby literally on her hip. It was amazing.
Somebody said give her the mind wave trick to convince her to write dreams down.
Do you have to use those powers for good?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
for good.
There was something else that I was going to add to that. What were we talking about?
Oh, Julia Peterson said, Melissa, do you wear jewelry? If so, I'll make you a nice piece to say thank you.
Oh,
Aw.
that's the sweetest. I do.
What do you like?
Oh my gosh, anything.
So you like silver,
Yeah.
anything silver colored. What were you saying? What was the last thing?
What were we talking? I can't remember.
All right, so it said write a book with your journey and best stories. She has written a book on songwriting, and she's going to look at me sideways right now because it's not out yet, and it's been done for several years. So, but we just have so many things going on. We're also going to be creating a songwriting course that's going to be inside the Unstoppable Guitar System, and then we'll also have it other places as well. But that's coming. So someone was asking how to do songwriter nights and what have you.
How to
Mentioned
search for
NSAI,
them.
I guess, and
Yeah, I
also-
think the best way to search for those things, well, one, if you're looking to go to songwriter nights, if you're in Nashville, or I think they have it online, but the Nashville scene has every writer's night that's playing in Nashville, and you can literally look up who's playing week by week. But as far as prose songwriting things, like I said, NSAI, BMI, ASCAP, CSAC. You can look up any of their websites and look up any of their songwriter expos, workshops. There's so many resources that they can offer you, and they usually have links to other supportive things as well.
So I was asking, what's the craziest idea you've ever come up with? You'd have to hear the
know.
songs, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's
I don't know.
yeah. You've written some wild
I've written
songs
some
though,
crazy
yeah.
songs, but I don't know what they are.
But again,
off the
it's
top
like
of
you
my
have
head.
got to kind of hear the whole songs. If it's just the title, it's not going to mean much. But if once it has legs,
Yeah.
then you go, oh, okay.
I wrote a song called Green Couch once with Matt Hendricks, and we literally were like,
Green
let's write a
couch.
song about a green couch. And it was
Yeah.
like, the only thing she left behind was me and that green couch.
That's
It
fun.
was actually really good.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's so crazy. I know.
Well, I mean, crazy as in like, let's write a song about a green couch. Okay, what
Yeah.
about a green couch? And then now you got to like make up a story about
Yeah.
something that doesn't exist, which is like everything, right? Oh, unless you're writing exactly about real life, which a lot of times people do. Melissa, do you and Eric ever just sit down and jam together, just for
Not
fun?
nearly as
Well,
much
we
as
never
Eric would
do.
like.
No, yeah, I would love to.
He's
I've
always
given
like,
up on
let's
that.
play songs, let's do it. And like by the time I get home at night, I'm like, I don't even want to think about it, music anymore.
How does a songwriter, guitarist pitch a song if he or she only plays and does not sing? Create a demo. You gotta bring in some other people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't sing any of my own demos, so I mean, you just piece together what you can do. So if you can play and you can put down a demo playing, then you just bring in someone else to sing and pay them to sing the demo for you.
Someone's asking, what's the difference between poetry and lyrics? Is there a difference?
I mean, not really. I mean, like to me, poetry is something that you'd read in a book, and lyrics is something set to music would be the only difference. But I mean, I think lyric is poetry. I mean, just without poetry is just lyrics without music.
Yeah, and there's lots like.
But I think lots of lyrics are poetic.
Yeah, Anthony Kiedis writes lots of poetry, and I think you can tell when you listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers because it has a certain flow about it, and it sound not like it was shoehorned in there, but. I maybe just because I know that's what happens a lot of times. That's what he does. Writes a lot of poetry, and then it gets stuck into a song. And if you look at the form of poetry and you look at the form of lyrics, it's the same. It's just now you have to figure out where the melody goes and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of people that will write lyrics like that first. Indeed, yeah. Great questions.
Being a parent, do you find you freestyle and Dr. Seuss speak a lot? Yes. Dr. Seuss is real big in our house right now, and it is really hard to not like bust into Hop on Pop. Like.
Melissa, does Eric use metaphors all day, every day? Yes.
Yeah, it's like he's hosting a Tony Robbins seminar all day, every day.
She tunes it out after some time. Great. Good stuff.
I feel like there were some questions back there that we didn't get to. Out of all the songs you wrote.
What's your favorite song that you've written? Would it be a Hurt?
Man, I feel like as far as like songs that I love to sing, I feel like Hurt's just.
So good.
I love a sad song, and that's like.
Lady Antebellum, and that came out in their last album?
Yeah.
Their last album?
Yeah, their last album. That's my favorite one to sing.
And it
sure.
almost became a single. So that's, as a writer, that's what you want, of course, is you want it to become a single, because then it plays on the radio, and that's where you make your money.
Yeah.
So if you write 1,000 songs, and out of 1,000 songs as a professional songwriter, how many do you think get see the light of day? How many are recorded professionally?
You know, songwriter Craig Wiseman, I feel like he said only the top 10% of what he wrote ever got recorded. And I think that's and he was like,
he's smash writer.
I mean, smash after smash. So
only 10%. So that's
10%.
of you know, the top of the top. So
yeah.
beautiful. Let's do one more here, and then we are over our time here. So I want to let folks go. I don't want to hang out, let's keep them too long. But how did Red Light come about? Love that song.
So that one I wrote with Jonathan Singleton and Dennis McCoskey, and we were talking about, I had that title, Red Light, and we weren't sure what to do with it, and we were just talking about how, like, would it be cool if we could have a story about how everything could change at a red light, and it had, for some reason, sparked this memory of Eric telling me when his father passed away, him and his brother are walking out of the hospital, and his brother, it was right after your dad passed away, and your brother walked out of the hospital, and it was a sunny day, and you know, people were walking through the parking lot laughing, and he said, man, it's just like a sunny day for everybody else, and our world just stopped. And we got to talking about how, like, goodbyes don't always look the way you think they're gonna look, and it's not always like some dreary, sad, raining day that's really ominous. Sometimes the worst of things can happen at the moment you don't expect. And so we got that idea, and that's how it got written. And then it was on hold for lots of different people. It was on hold for Keith Urban. Yeah, baby. Okay. It was on hold for Keith Urban. It was on hold for several different artists, and then David Nail recorded it, and it was on the charts something crazy, like for 42 weeks. I think it was the longest running song of the year that year, and
it actually set a record that year.
Set a
I remember
record
that was the
year,
longest
yeah.
running country song ever up until that point.
Up until that point,
which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Friends, I think we're gonna head out. We've done our 2 hours here, and I don't want to keep you longer than necessary here. And we also got some things that we need to do here. But thank you so much for everything today. Thank you so much for the beautiful donations and the time together. Melissa, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I know you traveled a long way.
I know.
And had to really plan things out for this. But no, seriously, thank you so much for this. And friends,
thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you so much for everything today, friends. Tomorrow, the 26th, we're going to talk about Guitar Care 101, so the basics that you need to know. And then the second part of the hour, we're going to talk about harmonics, so not just the 3/5 or 5/7 12 harmonics, but all over the fretboard. I'm going to show you some really wicked cool tricks, some fun stuff to do there. So as per usual, the very first link below is going to give you access to the PDF walking you through the Unstoppable Guitar System Standard every day, which is free for you today. The second link below will give you access to that. Get in there, my friends. It's absolutely going to help immensely with building a solid foundation. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much to the crew. I think that's it. All right. See you. Bye.